This next one is kind of a hot topic, and it's why does Etsy suspend accounts? And if you look on YouTube, you'll find tons of videos called Etsy close my shop for no reason and all that kind of thing. There's always a reason. It just might not be completely obvious. Now, I thought of 10 reasons why Etsy might suspend accounts, and I wrote an article about it on the Artisan Shopping blog, which I will link to in the description of this video. But I'm just going to go through this list because I don't want to miss anything. So the first one is pretty simple to fix. It's if you have an overdue balance. So if at the end of the month you owe Etsy money because you haven't made enough sales to cover the fees that you've paid for, or that you owe them for listing new listings or that kind of thing, if you do not have your payment paid, then they will close your shop, but it's suspended. So if you can go in and pay your account off, pay your account balance, then you're fine. Now, sometimes people have said that there's a weird way that you have to do this, so that you have to go, I'm not even going to get into that. I'll look that up, but you do have to pay your account balance or else Etsy can suspend your shop. So that's a pretty simple thing to fix. Don't worry about that. All right. The next one is copyright or trademark infringement. So if you get too many cases, filed against you, and Etsy used to have a 3-strike policy. I'm not sure if that's still the number because Etsy decides what's too many. So you basically have to be careful with copyright and trademark infringement, especially now because there's so many people that are filing trademarks for really common words. If you're someone who has terms or phrases or words on anything, like if you sell t-shirts, that's why I'm doing this. If you have words on t-shirts, you need to be really careful because people are filing trademarks for really frivolous things, in my opinion, just really common words. And if you're using that, you can get copyright and trademark strikes. And if you have too many of those, Etsy will close your shop. So be careful. The next one, number 3, is too many cases open against your shop. So this is similar, but if it's a customer opening a case for damaged goods or things that weren't shipped on time or whatever the case is about, if they open too many of those cases, then Etsy can close your shop because it's just bad customer service if you're constantly getting these cases filed against you and they think that there's something legitimately wrong that you're doing. So if you get too many cases and Etsy says this is a problem store and they're not taking care of their customers, then you can have your shop closed. Another reason is having too many low reviews. And if you're constantly getting low reviews and you're not taking care of them, again, Etsy will come and close your shop because that reflects on your shop quality rating, and they don't want sellers who have really low reviews consistently on the platform. So just make sure that you're taking care if you start getting a lot of low reviews. And again, what is a lot? We don't know because Etsy doesn't tell us. But if you are suddenly getting a lot of low reviews for no reason that you can figure out, and you can't make these people happy, you just need to be careful. And maybe if it's one listing, just deactivate that one listing. It's very tricky because they don't tell us what a low review, like too many, what is it? We don't know. But that is a reason that they can close your shop. So just be aware of that. Okay, the 5th reason is pretty obvious. It's if you're selling prohibited items. So obviously, if you're selling things that are not handmade and you're saying they are, Etsy can come and close your shop. If you're selling things that are copyright infringement and Etsy decides that it's too much of it, they will come and close your shop. If you're selling hate items, okay, any of these things in the prohibited items section in the Etsy terms of use, if you're selling any of those, they can come and close your shop, or at the minimum, they'll take those listings down. So there's some things that are obvious, some things that you might, not know what they're prohibited, but it's pretty clear in Etsy's terms of use what is and is not allowed on the platform. As long as you're within those guidelines and you're selling things that are allowed, you should be fine. Now, this reason, number 6, is a little weird, but Etsy might suspend your account if your shop is new. And this happens a lot because it's basically bots coming in and saying, okay, here's a brand new shop. Look, they've just listed a few things or they've made their first few sales. We're going to suspend the shop now. Now, this happens for whatever reason. This started happening after the pandemic when so many people were starting to sell on Etsy, and there were people who were getting ripped off. Customers were getting ripped off because these shops were scammers and they were just setting up shop to make a few sales. Then they would just disappear and never send anything to the people and they would take their money. So if your shop is new and this happens to you, just contact Etsy, ask for a review because it's basically a bot has taken it down. It's the computer has triggered something and it has taken it down. But chances are they will open your shop back up. It happens a lot. So this isn't something that you're doing most likely. It's probably just something that Etsy's bots have detected something is going on and they think something's going on even if nothing is, and chances are they will open your shop again. Now, again, if you're selling stuff that is not allowed on Etsy, that could be why, if it's a new shop and you've loaded it up with the most recent Xbox games or something like that, those are not allowed on Etsy, so they might have just taken your shop down because you're selling prohibited items. But if there's nothing that you're doing wrong, it could just be a mistake and they will put your shop back up. Okay. The next reason is if you are using the platform to harass people, they can shut your account down. So that's whether you're a customer or a seller. If you're sending people messages and harassing people and you're sending too many spammy messages to people and trying to get them to come to your shop, Etsy can shut your shop down for that because that's against the terms of use. So just be aware that you shouldn't be a spammer and you shouldn't be harassing people and you shouldn't be being a jerk, and you should be fine with that. But that is a reason why your shop can get shut down. The next reason is if you've provided inaccurate personal information, like if you've made up names or you're using stock images for your personal profile picture, any kind of inaccurate personal information is against the terms of use. It specifically says that you can't do fee avoidance and all this kind of stuff. Posting information about yourself that's not truthful is one of them. So this is designed to protect customers and sellers so that they know who they're dealing with. But don't put things up that are fake. Don't use fake names. Just be honest, and that's all Etsy wants. All right. The next thing is too many late shipments or not shipping orders. And I mentioned this, that there were a lot of shops that set up just to take people's money and then disappear. So if you don't ship your orders out or you're shipping things late on a regular basis, Etsy can shut your shop down. So just be aware of that and do what you're supposed to do. Run your business in an honest way, ship your packages out, and you'll be okay. That's not a problem. All right, the next thing is fee avoidance. Okay, fee avoidance is anytime you try to weasel around the system to not pay the fees that Etsy requires. Now, people complain about Etsy fees, but if you think the fees are too high, go find somewhere else to sell. That's it, because we're selling voluntarily on Etsy. Nobody is forcing us to sell on any platform. So if you don't like the fees, go find somewhere else. But Etsy fees are really not that expensive when you compare them to other platforms. They're either right in line with them or even a little lower. So it's not that expensive to sell on Etsy, and we are using their audience. We're using the platform software. It's really not that expensive. And if you had your own website, it probably would be it is less expensive in the long run, but you have to do a lot more work to get customers and that kind of thing. So you cannot send people off of Etsy to shop. You can't say, go shop on my website instead of Etsy. There are things that you need to do to avoid looking like you're trying to get around the fees. And as long as you do that and you keep it on the up and up and you're not trying to send people off of Etsy to shop instead of in your Etsy shop, you should be fine. So that's 10 reasons why your shop can be suspended. And like I said, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, they closed my shop for no reason. But then if you ask questions, they're like, well, I did have 51-star reviews that I was ignoring. Well, that's the reason. So there's usually a reason. But as long as you're doing things the right way, it's probably not going to get your shop shut down and you'll be okay. But you need to be aware of the terms of use so that you don't violate them. And you can find that if you go on the desktop version of Etsy, at the very bottom, it says legal. That's the terms of use. That's the actual rules that we need to follow. And you should read those if you want to sell on Etsy. So leave me any questions and I will talk to you later.